allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we come today asking you to watch over this meeting of our commission, be with all our employees as they go about their duties this week and protect them from the heat that we're all dealing with, and just help our commissioners make decisions that are good for our county. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Call the meeting of the Linn County Commissioners to order. I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from last week's meeting.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Make a motion to approve the claims in the amount of $320,345.31.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Do you have any adds and abates?
Don't have any this week.
Okay.
Had a fairly late ad on the agenda. Kathy needs an executive session, so I told her to come over about 10, and then Randy told me this morning he needs a few minutes too, so
Both for personnel.
yes.
Okay. Galen, you want to get us started off?
Good morning. Happy Monday. Galen Anderson with American Medical Response. Numbers wise, the last 7 days we've done 17 ambulance transports, and month to date we're at 48 ambulance transports. I think the only agenda item I had was, or thing to ask you about is, would it be acceptable to you if I move forward with drafting up a amendment to the contract with the proposed subsidy that we've discussed, the proposed subsidy increase, and then sending that over for your review? I had planned for it to go in, for the language that it would go into effect in January. And then we can review and make any edits that you'd like and send back. Does that sound like a good next step?
I think that is the next step.
Okay. I'll work on that over the next few days and get it over to you. And I think that's all I had.
Sounds good. Thank you, Galen.
All right. Have a good week.
Randy?
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Hegwald, Linn County Rural Fire and Emergency Management. I sent out the weekly run totals. We had 8 incidents this week. Brings our yearly total up to 288. Brian and I attended a Chiefs conference in Kansas City Friday. It was a pretty good conference, learned quite a bit. Also kind of some of the vendors of some of the equipment we have, we're able to talk to them, and they're going to come down and provide some training that is stuff bought before both of those was on the department. So we're going to get some training out of some of these vendors that we had met before. And so it was a good conference. Non-elected personnel, I'd like 10 minutes on that. Other than that, I have nothing other. It's supposed to be hot this week, so everybody kind of watch neighbors and animals and everything. So hopefully I have a quiet week. So you guys have anything?
I don't have anything.
All right.
No. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Randy. Sheriff Friend?
Morning, Commissioners. Kevin Friend, Linn County Sheriff. For our numbers, we have 63 inmates in, had 15 releases last week. 41 of those are farm-ins from Marshall's or Wyandotte County. Only had 66 911 calls last week. That's probably about the lowest I think we've had since I've been here in 19 for a week's time. I think the heat kept people in maybe. Had 2,799 jail contacts, 477 calls for service countywide. That's law enforcement, fire, and EMS. 11 civil service papers served, 9 VIN inspections, had 7 new cases open, 5 cases closed, 1 vehicle crash that our office worked, and 53 SRO activities. That'll, of course, pick back up with school starting. Then 174 bailiff public contacts, and 33 of those led to calls for services for something other than just a public contact. 4 livestock out reports, and this last week we had inmate in the hospital up at Paola, so we've had people covering the hospital duty up there as well, so it's been kind of a long weekend for us. But that's all I have. Commission has anything for me?
I don't have anything.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good
Thank you,
week.
Sheriff.
Stay cool.
You too. Chris, did you have something?
Morning, Commissioners. Last week we talked about the know before, and I got in touch with them, and yeah, they'll just charge us yearly. They were fine with that. And he sent me an email to confirm, because our renewal is in March. So he sent me an email to confirm the discounts apply, how that's all going to play out. And of course, we had budgeted to increase the number of users next year. So they're aware of that as well. I just want you to know that
Okay.
we'll do the 3-year renewal with them, but that'll be in March.
And we'll pay every year.
Yep.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Okay. The last thing, if we have a moment, we need to, it's pretty quickly, like in next week or two, see if you're wanting to move forward with the tower takedown while the radio company is here. They reached out to me last week. They're wanting to know what the status on their bid was
Okay.
for that. And I know Danny had got some information from somebody local, which I had replied back to, seeing if we could get an official bid to make sure that, just to make sure that what they're bidding is what we expect. It's an apples to apples, and then you guys can make your decision. But they're needing to know, because we're probably looking at October for doing the radio stuff, and they got to schedule the crane and their crews and all that. So
Can we have a bid from the other company next week, or do you know?
You have a bid from
from Hayden,
Hagan.
No, but the other one, did
I don't know. See, I didn't talk to them.
you talk to Danny or?
Danny sent an email. Yeah. And he gave kind of a generic price, if you will. So I was just asking that if he could get an official bid back from them, because as you know, it's not just the tear down, meaning they're going to need somebody that climbs the tower, that kind of stuff.
Right.
To be able to take some equipment down.
Danny just texted
Oh, okay.
me that he will work on getting that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So
Great.
maybe we could look at that next week.
Okay. We'll put it on the agenda for next
All right.
week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Gary, do you have anything?
Nothing at all, I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah, he said he'll work on that and he'll get it before next week.
Okay. Great. Do you have anything, David, that we need to
I don't think so.
move into? We'll go see if Sean's ready. Thank you.
Morning, Commissioners. Sean West, Public Works Administrator. We completed the assistance applications for the STARS program. That went well. And then I have buildings, or on the building. It looks like the final for Bill District Court, we 36,510. And that includes the electrical and the fiber for the IT.
The IT, the electrical, what's the price on that? I can't make it out.
19.
19.2.
19.2, okay.
Is this another thing we need to wait on Danny for, or start moving forward?
I think this is lower than what Danny and I had talked about that he thought it would be. Let me bring up what I had in budget.
If he's watching, maybe if he wants you to wait, he can call in and tell you to wait, but otherwise you could move forward.
Okay.
So yeah, in what I was doing for budgeting, I had put in 60,000 for remodeling the district court. So it's quite a bit lower than the estimate we just kind of pulled out of the air. He just messaged me. He says, I'm good. I thought around 40 to 60,000. I'm very good with it.
Okay. I don't have any other questions about it.
I don't either.
I'll make a motion that we. Yep.
So I haven't actually seen it. The only thing I don't know, and maybe Sean can shed light on this, nobody reached out. Like they bid on the fiber. I don't know if they broke any of this down. Nobody asked how long the fiber was. So, the other questions, there will be things like he said, they don't terminate, which is right. We'll take care of that. Are they providing the Cat 6 cable? Yeah, see, all that stuff that you're looking at there, is what I had spec'd on there. But I just wanted to make sure that we had all those bases covered.
This might not be supplies then, is what you're saying.
That's what I want to make sure of,
I'd say,
that they were supplying the Cat 6 cable at that price. The termination and the base plates, those would be us as IT. And then like you say, running the fiber, because that goes between the old courthouse where their demarc is, out underground, up in the building, over to that closet. So I'm not sure how they priced out the fiber if they don't know how long the fiber is.
Shouldn't Chris and, Randy and, Jeff Scott meet and talk about that, you think?
That was,
Okay.
I'm not trying to delay anything.
And if everything's
If
covered.
it's in there, that's a fantastic deal. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
If everything's covered, you're good with it.
Yes. Okay.
We've got a tank at the south shop that we've listed for Purple Wave. By the way, Purple Wave, they're coming middle of September. Is the first time they could come down and do all the photographs and get those items listed. We've got a 500-gallon tank down there that I'd like to pull off the list. In looking at our used oil tanks, there's a 1,000-gallon used oil tank at the south shop. If we keep it at 1,000 gallons, it's going to have to be permitted. Anything over 600 gallons would have to be permitted. Then we'd have to have safety data sheets and things on used oil, which is going to be a concern for us to try to get it permitted with something that is a mixture of substances. I'd like to go ahead and take that other tank off the list and use it. Then on our next auction, we'll move out that 1,000-gallon tank, which is just a
We can't just substitute them out now.
I can move them, but I wasn't going to pull anything off the list without telling you.
But I mean, can we just put the 1,000-gallon tank on the list now, or do we have to wait for another?
I can try.
That's what I would prefer.
The question will be how fast I can get the oil and the substance pumped. And
Gotcha.
so I will make efforts to do that, but I did want to inform you that with no more than we're going to get out of that tank and what we'd have to replace the other tank for, I think it's in our best interest to use the tank that we've got rather than buy a new one to put used oil in.
Okay.
Spoke with the landowner on State Line on our Bates County MOA agreement. We had a good conversation. He did have some concerns, but I think everything on that should be pretty well wrapped up, and the landowner understands what the concerns were and why the work had to be done. We had a decent conversation, and I think the only thing that he brought to my attention was I may go back at some point on our side of the tube and throw some shot rock in there. He's worried about pressure and cutting across our right of way onto him, which shouldn't be a large issue at all. The fourth container box is at Kerr's being welded. I'm being told we have 3 that have not been reconditioned after this one. If we were to do all 7, that with the price that we're looking at, though, that's going to bring us up to about 35,000. I can look at the other 3, but the ones that I've been seeing that have been brought over, pretty much you could stuff a basketball through the front on some of the holes in these things, which is going to be an issue. He's built us a new box for 10, and we're getting the reconditioned boxes back at 5 apiece. So it's a considerable difference on the reconditioning of them versus a new box.
I doubt they get cheaper. You know, supplies, things that way are gonna just continue to go up. So I think we should go ahead and continue to fix them now.
We got money, I guess, to fix them all.
Yeah, fine at this point.
Okay. The cost shares, I talked to Johnny, the cost shares are coming to an end, but we did have some late sprays for thistle, which is something that is sprayed late in the year, and they were set to be sprayed before we ran to the 30,000, which was the agreed upon limit. We did have 35 in that fund. Originally, we didn't plan on spending all of it, but he is telling me if we agree to these late spray thistles or sprayings for thistles that are contract sprays that were brought to us early on before a lot of the others filled up, that we should not run above 32.
Okay.
If that's agreeable, I'll continue with that, but the original
Cap
agreement
was
was
30.
capped at 30, but we have 35 in there, and these were laid on, because they're contract sprays, they were laid on before others that came in later. And from talking to Johnny, this is going to make an impact in the program, and we'd still be roughly $3,000 under.
As I recall, the reason you capped at 30 was just for this kind of eventuality, wasn't it?
Yes, because it trickles in at the end, and I think next year, what I think Johnny and I are going to talk about is the early sprays, setting possibly 30 aside for it, and then 5 in the back end, and coming to you with a plan, but we're going to have to do the numbers and look at those and see how much we got of each for next year, so we can come in with better numbers for you.
Okay.
We've got the main power at the senior center. I haven't been able to go over and look at that yet, but Kelly was able to help us with that, and we've got it secured to the building. The sign questions, as far as hours, I pulled the month of July. Our sign operator logged 72 of those hours for that month. One of our grader operators logged 16 hours, and another grader operator logged a half an hour. So aside from the 72 that the sign operator logged in, we had another 16 hours from one grader operator and 0.5 from another. In looking at the 16 hours, and I'd have to talk to the operators, but the first day of those 2 days that operator worked was a rain day, by looking at the calendar. So it appears that may have been part of the reason that he was assigned that duty. I have a stop sign resolution for the northeast corner of Vernon and 1250 that came into me. I'll give that over.
Yeah, it's for the southeast. Well, you can read it there.
Install stop sign for northbound traffic at the southeast corner of the intersection of Vernon and 1250 Road.
The T intersection, and we're asking to place a stop sign on the non-through road. It was one of those, as we were going through, that you'd ask us to look at those intersections, and it's one of those that was an unmarked or uncontrolled intersection that we're asking for a resolution to go ahead and place a stop sign for.
I'm good with it.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2023-35 for the recommendation of a stop sign on the southeast corner, northbound traffic at the southeast corner of the intersection of Vernon and 1250 Road.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Last week, I spoke to you about a resignation in the transportation department. I neglected to ask for permission to post those openings. I do have an operator, driver, and now a transportation opening. I'd like your permission to go ahead and post for those openings.
I'm good with it.
Me too.
Okay.
And I'm showing you driver and operator and,
Driver, operator, and transportation.
okay.
The first two are shop positions. The third is a driver in the transportation,
Are
and that's
those in the-
part-time,
Are the operator and driver in the north or south shop?
both.
Both?
Then I do have it logged at, that we had some discussion about the signage and scrap in the south shop as to whether or not, was there a need to continue to hold that for a later discussion, or can I release it to do scrap on it?
I just wondered about those signs. It looked like to me there was road signs and a lot of things in there that wasn't bad myself, but, you know, as far as the street signs,
Okay.
posts and that we could use.
I'll go back through and see what's recoverable, and then I'll go ahead and tell Denny he can get the rest cleaned up out of the lot. The only other thing I had for you was a 10-minute discussion for legal. Do you have any questions for me?
I got a phone call as far as Centerville, mowing in Centerville. We haven't mowed up there, I don't guess, is in the town. So that's something we need to put on work.
In the city of Centerville?
And the guardrails up there, it was a bus driver, and they said there's a lot of guardrails that hadn't been mowed around, and signage. Sounds like it might take some weed eating, I don't know. But Centerville needs it bad.
And that's the area for the guardrails?
Yeah, it's just an area up there. I don't know exactly. She didn't say where.
Okay. Anything else for me?
I don't have anything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Jessica?
Good morning, Commissioners. First of all, I want to hand you our completed assessment. That's what Darcy has been working on with the Housing Committee. That is the finished product. You can look over it. If you have any questions, we can answer any questions you would have. But we're really excited to have that completed. Last week, Darcy and I and the Housing Committee had a HIAC meeting. That stands for Housing Interagency Committee. We discussed the HAT with that committee, and then they discussed resources that they have that are available to us based on the outcomes from this housing assessment. So they were all representatives of different state entities that have housing resources. So that was a really good meeting. We took notes. We were able to make connections with people on those committees in case we have questions to reach back out to them. This week is the Kansas Housing Conference. It's in Overland Park, so Darcy and I will be going to that. Darcy is part of a panel. She's going to be presenting tomorrow. The Housing Champions are doing a panel tomorrow morning, so that's exciting. And then right after her session tomorrow, we're actually coming back to Lacine. Late last week, the USDA actually reached out to us. The Rural Champions Program has applied for a grant through the USDA to extend that program for another year. They were trying to make the Housing Champion session at the Housing Conference, but they were not able to make it. So they've requested us to meet with them in Lacine right after the Darcy's session on Tuesday. So we are going to meet with the Undersecretary of the USDA and their team, the Director of the Office of Rural Prosperity, Lacine city officials. Jason is going to be there because it's his commission district, and Darcy and I are going to be there. Jim, if you're interested, you're more than welcome to come. I believe we would have to make it a special meeting if you wanted to be there as well. We're going to talk about Darcy's going to go through her presentation again for the USDA officials. And then we're going to talk about the Rural Champion program in more detail. We're going to discuss our hat. And then Jody's going to take us on a tour of lacing.
Okay.
That's all I have for you all. Do you have anything for me?
I don't have anything.
No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we've still got like half an hour until Kathy's scheduled to be over here, but she'll probably come early if you call her.
Want to go ahead and get the legal with Sean taken care of?
Do that or however you want to take care of it. Sean wanted 10 minutes for legal
Yes.
and Randy wanted 10 minutes for personnel. Yeah,
So start with those two.
sounds good.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session for 20 minutes, 10 of those with Randy for personnel, and 10 minutes with Sean for legal.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
I'm gonna call Danny till he goes.
Okay. How much time did you need, like, for Kathy?
You think 15 on here? You want to just do that as
20?
20 and then bring Kathy in?
Okay. So we have no action, correct, from that one. We'd like to extend for another 20 minutes for personnel, 5 with Randy and 15 with Kathy. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Good on time. Okay, we have one thing of action from executive session. We received Kathy Bridges' letter of retirement from the appraiser's office, and we want to thank her for her years of service and the great job that she's done over there, and wish her well in her new endeavors.
You want to make a motion to accept her letter?
I'll make a motion, we accept the resignation for retirement from Kathy Bridges.
Effective September
28th
28th.
of 2023.
That's my motion.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay. Did you have public comment? Okay. Do you want to come forward and?
Hi, I'm Scott Lee. I represent Miami Tow and Recovery. I know I've only got 5 minutes up here, so I typed up a little deal for each one of you so you can read it at your convenience. But we were removed from the tow rotation recently for allegedly towing a car out of the county. That was a secondary tow requested by the customer himself. Secondary tows happen all the time. They go to body shops, they go to repair shops. And as it says in my statement here, this guy was on vacation, very frustrated, his mentally ill son. I mean, we went to every extent possible to help this guy out. And that's all explained in here in detail. But the secondary tow process, there's even an invoice in here that shows all the phone calls we've had with him, where the car was towed originally. The car was towed to my house free of charge just to help the guy out. And then it's going to show you over $1,600 damages to my front gate because he forced his way through my front gate. Worse than what happened out here at the lake properties. And I think it was a uninformed decision. I was expecting a phone call from the attorney. My side of this never got stated correctly or at all that I know of. So that's what I'm here to do today. There's two sides to every story in life. And I don't think my side was even considered in this decision. So my letter here is requesting reconsideration based on factual evidence that is in this packet.
Okay.
And that's what I'm here for today. Now, in this packet, you're also going to see we had other complaints that are not highlighted. There's a couple of those stated out in here. And this is Natasha. Please stand up. Natasha drives for us. One of the firemen referred to her as wearing Daisy Duke shorts to Kevin, the sheriff here. She wouldn't come down here because of the insult. And that's also in here. I'll put it in black and white. Kevin only put it in other complaints. But I think the county commissioners need to see this, reconsider it, and I'd like something done with that fireman at this point. It cost me all kinds of money taking me off the rotation. Why has he still got a job when he's insulting females? I don't think that's very fair. And I'm just asking for this consideration today. I know no decisions will be made, and that's fine. I just want my side of the story heard with factual evidence included in these packets. And with your permission, I'd like to hand these out.
Okay.
And you guys can read them at your convenience.
Thank
Thank you, Scott.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your contact information.
But that's all I got to say, guys. I'd like to be reconsidered and added back on the rotation.
Do you have a tow lot in Linn County?
Yes, I do. 205 East Market Street, which is where that car was towed. The dispatch shows our vehicles are equipped with dash cam, body cam, they're GPS tracked and everything else. Another complaint the fireman made was, oh, Natasha didn't look like she knew what she was doing. 21 minutes once she got on the scene, which was another issue, but I'm not even going to start that one. The 21 minutes to get it out of a barbed wire fence, drag it with the winch across the road and put it on the truck is all it took her. And they complained about that, her dress. And all I can figure is he's got a buddy with another tow truck company and wanted to badmouth us. That's been known to happen down here in the past, and I've seen the lawsuits over it. And you'll also notice in there, I filed a formal complaint with the Department of Justice over Miami County. That's a different deal. But you'll also notice in there, I kept Natasha from making a formal complaint about this and suing this county for those discriminating remarks. I feel my First Amendment right was violated by the attorney not calling me hearing my side of the story. That's why I went to all this trouble today, was to come in here just so I can be heard and heard correctly. With it in black and white, it's being heard correctly. Now, whether you add me back on or not, I don't know. That's your guys' decision, but at least I've been heard.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Okay. David, do you got anything else for us?
I don't. It's like maybe Darren has something.
Darren?
Good morning, Commissioners. Darren Wilson, Planning and Zoning Director. Up at the Centerville Sewer District, we got the baskets put in a couple months ago. They're working great. They serve the purpose, but we had a pump go down. We had a pump, we replaced it. But I just wanted to let you guys know that they will rebuild our old pumps, and worst case scenario, that's bearings, seals, new cutters on them, is about $1,850. A new pump is $3,000. I can't say how often these pumps have been serviced or maintained. The Centerville Sewer District started in 2006. What I'd like to do is start pulling pumps as we have one rebuilt and just have them maintenance. That way we know that all the pumps are good, and after we get through all of them, we'll have a spare pump without having to spend the $3,000 to buy one. Yeah, it's...
What's the maintenance going to cost, Darren?
So, well, like I said, worst case scenario is $1,850 if they change
So that would
everything.
be on each pump that we
Yes.
would go through?
Yes,
How many pumps?
9.
But there's money in the, see, there's
But-
actually a lot of money in that.
Yeah,
Money there for.
the district has money for this.
Okay.
So it's just a maintenance deal that I'm trying to do. If you just want to do a couple of pumps and not have them all
All
served?
pumps run all the time, or however the
Pardon me?
hour wise, how much do the pumps run? They all run the same
They
amount?
run on a float so that, when there's enough usage, the float comes up, they turn on and pump, and then they go off. So they're off and on. If nobody's home all day, it's not running all day.
Yeah, we've got one, actually the lift station where the pump went down. It runs quite a bit more than the other ones. The monitoring system Chris worked on, we've got one of them hooked up and running. Chris is working out some details on that we came across. But on an average, what'd you say they run about 6 minutes and?
6 minutes every 4 hours.
Yeah,
But do all 9 run 6 minutes every 4 hours, or there's
No.
some that don't?
That's just the average.
It depends on the use.
Yeah.
On
Right.
weekends more often because people are.
but for now, I've got the one pump that I'm gonna take up and, get reworked, so we've got a pump. But if it's okay, I'd like to move forward with swapping these pumps out, because I don't know the last time that they've been serviced.
Probably never.
Right.
So
Okay.
when I was doing budget for next year, at the point when I prepared the budget worksheets that went out, which was the first 4 months of the year, we had only spent $2,500 on Centerville sewer. And I put some estimates in there basically just in case things came up this year that we would need to spend of another 24,500. I put in 15,000 in capital outlay in case we had to replace parts. I've got commodities and contractual in there, so there's plenty of money available in this year's budget if we need to have some expenses there. And the cash in that fund, where the overall budget this year was 92,000, there's just a hair over 101,000 in cash in that fund now. So the
Okay.
money is not a problem.
Okay, well, you all right with going ahead and getting them taken care of and trying to keep from having down time and stuff that way?
Look at them and see.
Okay,
Okay,
let's look at them.
that's all I got.
Thank you, Darren. Do you have something, Sean?
First of all, next week, Darren and I are going to go to training, and hopefully he'll take his first test on the wastewater operators test. So he's been doing a great job up in Centerville. And that will give us 2 licensed operators once he's certified, in our efforts to try to keep some duplicity in the process. But he's done a great job as an operator in training, and he's managing that system very well. Chris made a phone call, and I think we can go ahead and resolve the judicial or former district court building. You want to tell us the wire you said was part of that?
So the F6 is included, and we talked, and the fiber is included. He's providing the fiber with the termination that is needed and pulling it from the demarc in the old courthouse. He's going to fix the conduit because it's been broken, running under the sidewalk that comes up, and run all that over there. So the price that he bid does include what we need. So
Complete package, except for you're gonna land all the.
we're going to land all, yep, that's right.
Okay. Chris has got some cameras and base plates and some other incidentals. With the numbers that we have, I would recommend, just to be on the safe side, we do not expect to spend it, but I'd ask you to go ahead and approve up to 45 on the project, so that if we run into anything that was unforeseen, that we have a small cushion there.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we proceed with the rehab of the district court building not to exceed 45,000.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to proceed with the district court rehab not to exceed 45,000. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
And Sean, I need to get that resolution back. Okay.
Do we have anything else? I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned. See you guys next week.